Hello, my friends. I'm sending you this short clip to illustrate the concerns that I have with the Everett Public Schools and its overcrowding. I know all of you share the same concerns, but the time to act is now. We are far beyond the place where I can tell you, in all honesty, that we're in a good place with our students and the service that we provide them. So bear with me as I provide a very short clip of some of the scenes that I see every day across this district that we call our hometown of Everett. We aren't exaggerating when we say we use stairwells and hallways for teaching and learning. These spaces are used every single day. They are small, they lack privacy, and are prone to distraction. Clearly, these aren't classrooms, yet our teachers and administrators adjust and deliver their very best. Space constraints have cascading consequences. Libraries are being transformed into classrooms, leaving students without a quiet, focused space that encourages creativity and exploration. This is the former Lafayette School Library, which has been cleared out to make room for a combination of uses. More negative ramifications. Elongated lunch periods, some beginning as early as 10:30 in the morning. As you can see here, the clock doesn't lie. The stage inside the Webster School is not available for performances or school-wide events. Instead, it has to be used to offer therapeutic services to our most needy students. Two teachers in a small space working with two groups of students on two different academic skills. This is what we see each and every day inside our schools. We can do better. If we commit to converting the former Everett High School into a 7th and 8th grade middle school, every current K through 8 building in the district will see an immediate and transformative benefit. Thank you for working with Everett Public Schools on finding a solution to overcrowding at the K through 8 level. In the former Everett High School on Broadway, we have an ideal location to create a school for our 7th and 8th graders, where we can provide the complete educational experience for middle school students while offering desperately needed relief at our existing elementary schools. This is a project we can all be proud of.
Before and beyond time, three sisters known as the Fates have woven each mortal's life into the tapestry of existence, binding creation to final destination. The first sister spun the loom of life, weaving each soul's destiny into the thread of fate. The second meticulously measured each thread, deciding the length each life would span. The third sister decided how each life would end once the time had come, with a final cut of the thread. The souls tug against these strands, the more tangles and knots they twist into the fabric of their destiny. May be altered, or the measurements retaken, but the span remains unchanged. Scoff, unwavering in their task, for the thread of fate cannot be shaped by mortal hands. in an act destined from the first turn of the loom. Each thread is cut with cold indifference, severed and forgotten in the brick of time.
Our recipient from Everett High School, a city my uncle cherished and served every single day of his life, is Trévon "Tree" Carrington. A remarkable student with a 4.0 GPA and an inspiring record of community service, Trévon gives back through food pantries, clothing drives, citywide events, and church outreach, including the Zion's Community in Unity Block Party and the annual Thanksgiving dinner that serves over 900 people. During the pandemic, he launched Tree's Kitchen, a local culinary business inspired by his late grandmother. Using his passion for cooking to uplift others and support his community, Trévon was recently honored with the prestigious MAVA Award, presented to only 55 students out of 55,000 across Massachusetts. For excellence, in vocational technical education and meaningful community impact, he truly embodies the values of leadership, compassion, and service. Before I turn the microphone over to these wonderful gentlemen, I'd like to recognize Trévon's mother, Tiana Carrington, for her unwavering love and support, Dennis Lynch, the devoted principal of Everett High School, and Alfred Latanzi, a dedicated member of the Keverian Scholarship Committee, for their steadfast commitment to nurturing and empowering the next generation. And of course, Peter's father, Peter Katujan, our man. Why don't you come up and say a few words?
Good morning. The House has been addressed, but members of the House and members of the Senate, thank you. First, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. I want to thank him for this prestigious honor. I want to give reverence to George Keverian family and all of their support. I've known them for a little bit over an hour, and it feels like 2 years, but let's give them a round of applause. I want to thank my school community, of course, my Everett High School principal, Dennis Lynch, is here with me today. He is, I like to call him my father in education. He has been with me since 7th grade, right? 7th grade, and now we're carrying on to last year, senior year. So let's give him a round of applause. And I also want to give a round of applause to Alfred Latanzi, former city councilor and alderman. He called me about 50,000 times. I don't know if at first, I didn't think I was getting the scholarship because he called me so much, so I didn't think so. But I want to thank you for this prestigious honor and allowing me to be here on this day to commemorate the life and the legacy. Thank you.
These scholarships are more than just support. They are a legacy. They are a reminder that public service, when grounded in compassion, can truly change lives. Before you make your way to the luncheon, I encourage you to pause at the bottom of the staircase. On the wall directly ahead to the left, you will see a bronze plaque permanently embedded in the wall, placed there in 1976 to honor the victims of the Armenian genocide. It stands quietly but powerfully as a reminder of why we gather here and why we must never forget. Thank you for letting me share my uncle's story and my family's. May we all strive to lead with heart, with fairness, and with courage, even if his shoes are a little hard to fill. We should all keep trying to walk in them. Thank you.
Hello, my friends. I'm sending you this short clip to illustrate the concerns that I have with the Everett Public Schools and its overcrowding. I know all of you share the same concerns, but the time to act is now. We are far beyond the place where I can tell you, in all honesty, that we're in a good place with our students and the service that we provide them. So bear with me as I provide a very short clip of some of the scenes that I see every day across this district that we call our hometown of Everett. We aren't exaggerating when we say we use stairwells and hallways for teaching and learning. These spaces are used every single day. They are small, they lack privacy, and are prone to distraction. Clearly, these aren't classrooms, yet our teachers and administrators adjust and deliver their very best. Space constraints have cascading consequences. Libraries are being transformed into classrooms, leaving students without a quiet, focused space that encourages creativity and exploration. This is the former Lafayette School Library, which has been cleared out to make room for a combination of uses. More negative ramifications. Elongated lunch periods, some beginning as early as 10:30 in the morning. As you can see here, the clock doesn't lie. The stage inside the Webster School is not available for performances or school-wide events. Instead, it has to be used to offer therapeutic services to our most needy students. 2 teachers in a small space working with 2 groups of students on 2 different academic skills. This is what we see each and every day inside our schools. We can do better. If we commit to converting the former Everett High School into a 7th and 8th grade middle school, every current K-8 building in the district will see an immediate and transformative benefit. Thank you for working with Everett Public Schools on finding a solution to overcrowding at the K-8 level. In the former Everett High School on Broadway, we have an ideal location to create a school for our 7th and 8th graders, where we can provide the complete educational experience for middle school students while offering desperately needed relief at our existing elementary schools. This is a project we can all be proud of.
Good evening and welcome to the Everett School Committee meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. The time is 6:30 p.m. Clerk, could you call the roll to determine a quorum?
Mr. Almeida Barros.
Present.
Ms. Babcock.
Present.
Ms. Barros.
Present.
Ms. Cornelio.
Present.
Ms. Cristiano.
Present.
Mayor DiMaria. Mr. D'Onofrio. Ms. Garin.
Present.
Mr. LaMonica.
Present.
Chairperson Hurley.
Present.
8 members present.
8 members present. We do have a quorum. If everyone could join me in saluting the flag and then remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to take a moment of silence for the passing of Kathleen Donovan. Kay was a former teacher, administrator, and served as the city's first female superintendent here in Everett. Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, could you read the next order of business?
Roman numeral 3, reading of the records for Monday, April the 7th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the record
Second.
and place on file.
Motion has been made by Mr. Barros and seconded by Ms. Babcock to waive the reading of the records for Monday, April 7th, 2025 and place on file. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion has passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business?
Roman numeral 4, public comment.
Make a motion to open public comment.
Second motion.
Motion has been made by Ms. Barros, seconded by Mr. Barros to open public comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Public comment is opened at 6:32 p.m. We have 2 speakers this evening. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak, and your time starts after you state your name and organization. First up, we have Katie Rogers. Ms. Rogers.
Good evening, Chairwoman, members of the school committee, and members of the public. My name is Katie Rogers, Everett City Councilor at Large. I'm here tonight to talk about a pressing issue of pollution that is impacting our schools. I've recently been participating in a volunteer organization called Clean Up Everett. It was started by an Everett resident, where we've been going to parks and schools and cleaning up the neighborhoods, collecting trash. One of the most prevalent pieces of trash that we find are miniature alcohol bottles called nips. Unfortunately, there has been an effort for several years now to ban the sale of nips in the city of Everett, but it keeps getting pushed back. Tonight, I have a bag with me that represents just the nips collected in Glendale Park in the last couple of weeks, and I was away for the last 7 days, so this is in less than a month's work with a couple of walks. I think this is relevant to the school committee because it affects our students. We don't want syringes in our parks, so why do we accept miniature alcohol bottles littered all over our streets? I've been mapping out my collections by using schools as center points, and I find that we've collected thousands of nips in routes that children take to school every day. I think this is an issue that everybody should be involved and vocal in. So I have a petition with me tonight. This matter is not up to the city council. It's up to the licensing board, which only consists of 3 members. And it's absolutely vital that the public gets involved with this issue. When I'm going to reading day at the 8th grade and the student raises their hand and asks me, why are the adults not doing anything about the nips littered in front of my school every day? And I can't give them a good answer. We need to act. And as leadership that represents our schools, I expect each of you to participate in this matter and be vocal about it. It's important for pollution. It's important for public safety. It's important for the future of the youth of this community and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Next up, next speaker, we have Will Hurley. Mr. Hurley.
Good evening. William Hurley, 15 Franklin Street. I wanted to come to speak this evening regarding our Everett Crimson Tide Percussion Ensemble. My goal is to make sure that everyone that I could reach here and at home hears about these students. They are the New England Scholastic Band Association Percussion Open Class champions. That alone is a huge cause for celebration. But they went ahead and somehow outdid that. They strutted into Dayton and became WGI Percussion Scholastic Concert A World Champions. Please think about that for a moment. This group that you see here in front of you are considered the best in the world in their class. That is just truly incredible to me. What they earned in Dayton is honestly awe-inspiring. So I'd like to take a moment to say a few words to everyone involved in this monumental victory. First, I'd like to thank the entire staff for their dedication to these students. The amount of time and energy that you give to this program is unmatched. I want to offer a huge congratulations to all of you for being the staff that shaped and taught the WGI World Champions. This is no easy feat, and something that very few music staffs around the world have ever had the opportunity to experience. You took a group of young people and achieved greatness with them. Amazing job. I believe that I can say on behalf of all of the parents, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you for everything. Next, I'd like to speak to the younger members of this group. I have to say that the future is so bright. We are graduating 5 seniors, but a majority of this ensemble is made up of sophomores, freshmen, and middle schoolers. There is still lots of room for growth, and that amazes me every time I think about it. The sky is truly the limit. You all know what it takes to achieve greatness, so keep that same mentality and drive moving forward. You've earned a championship together, as one. Remember the lessons you've been taught along the way. Take what you've learned, add your own spin, and improve upon that even further. The torch is officially passed to you. The future is yours. And last, but certainly not least, our seniors. I want to make sure that I recognize 5 absolutely wonderful humans. They are Abby Musto, M. Learned, Lil Learned, Lucy Rodriguez, and Precious Vasquez. This group of seniors has been here and have been integral parts of 2 top 10 appearances and, of course, a first-place finish. Your contributions to this group are so incredibly appreciated, and your legacies will forever live on. You ended your years of dedication with a world championship, and I cannot think of a more fitting storybook ending to all of your high school percussion careers. Earning the ultimate prize in your event is second only to all of the great memories and friends you have made along the way. I'm so proud of all of you. Go Everett. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley. Seeing no other speakers on the sign-up sheet, is there anyone else that would like to speak at public comment?
Make a motion to close public comment.
Motion has been made by Ms. Babcock, seconded by Ms. Cornelio to close public comment. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Public comment is now closed at 6:38 p.m. I would also like, Clerk, if you could make note that Mr. D'Onofrio has joined us, as well as our student representative, Kelly St. Fort. I would also like to extend Mayor DiMaria's regrets as he's unable to attend due to a schedule conflict. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and take Roman numeral 7, item 2 from the calendar.
Take it in transfer to now? Okay, second.
Motion has been made and seconded to suspend our rules and take Roman numeral 7, item number 2, out of order, which is congratulations to the Everett Crimson Tide Percussion Ensemble 2025 WGI World Champion, under items submitted by school committee members. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. If I may, from the chair.
Absolutely.
I would just like to say Everett Crimson Tide Percussion Ensemble had an extremely busy and very successful month. It's an honor to invite this talented group of students before us today for well-deserved recognition. On April 5th, Everett Crimson Tide Percussion Ensemble placed first at the NESBA Championships in Dartmouth for their show, Thread of Fate. Students brought to life the tale of three sister goddesses who determine human destiny, known as the Fates, through breathtaking music and a creative visual performance. Before April school vacation, they traveled to Dayton, Ohio to compete in the 2025 WGI World Championship. And on April 11th, they placed first in the Percussion Scholastic Concert A class, making these students Everett's very first WGI World Champions. These students represent our community with pride and professionalism. Their commitment and passion for this sport is truly unmatched. I'd like to thank our dedicated music department staff, parent volunteers, and the administration for supporting music programming in Everett. And congrats to all. So I'd like to entertain a motion to invite Everett Crimson Tide Percussion Ensemble staff and students before us to say a few words.
Second.
I'll move. So move.
Second.
Motion, so moved. Motion has been made and seconded to invite Everett Crimson Tide staff and students before us to say a few things. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome, Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Spencer and Mrs. Logan.
Thank you so much. I'd like to a big shout out to the director of the ensemble, Mr. Mark Sacchetta, who's worked so hard this evening. He's not feeling that well. A round of applause for Mr. Sacchetta. On behalf of the Everett Music family, thank you to all your support in allowing our students, these wonderful students, to exhibit their wonderful talents on the world stage. The 2025 NESBA Open Class Champions, the 2025 WGI New England Concert A Champions, the 2025 WGI Eastern Silver Medalists in Toms River, New Jersey, the 2025 WGI World Champions Concert A, Dayton, Ohio, World Champions. That is awesome. Since our new school was built, we have never hosted a percussion competition because of our door problem. But our students always persevere on away fields and floors. But we're looking forward to someday to host our marching band championships, hopefully in our new soccer stadium down the street. And so the world will be coming to Everett someday instead of us going there. So I'd like to personally thank Mark Sacchetta. The assistant director here is Brian Spencer, assisted by Samantha Logan, Mrs. Penny Yabber at home, resting at home from surgery. And I'd like to thank Ms. Gretchen Manning, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, that really pushed things through forward behind the scenes over there in the corner. Thank you so much. Mr. Christopher Schweitzer, that helped with all the organization of the finances, keeping the I's dotted and the T's crossed. Mr. Schweitzer has a saying on his email that states, "For the kids." And that's what this is all about, for the kids. Thank you, Mr. Schweitzer. Our wonderful athletic director, Tammy Turner, for whom organized all the gym time for our kids to practice at. Our principal, Dennis Lynch, James Murphy, John Satera. The basketball coach, Coach Boyce, for whom sacrificed many practice hours of basketball for our percussion kids. Nothing like teamwork in Everett. Our truck drivers, for whom drove close to 2,000 miles. Charlie Muscoffley with the tractor trailer, and Joe Vietro driving the box truck. Let's hear it for them. Our truck drivers, they're the best. It's awesome. Our superintendent of schools, Mr. Bill Hart. That is steadfast of his support of our program to the point that his first week on the job, he assisted with all the equipment for our marching band at our other championships. So he's our good luck charm. So thank you, Superintendent. And to our wonderful state senator, Sal DiDomenico, that hopped on a plane at the last minute to witness Everett history out in Dayton, Ohio. Just in time, showed up, and all of a sudden, Everett, first place. Nothing better. At this time, I'd like to pass over to our alumnus of the program, our assistant director, Brian Spencer.
Good evening, members of the school committee. I would also like to recognize some of our support and technical staff who work in Everett part-time. Some of them are here tonight. Mr. Ryan Enos, Mr. Carmen Falzoni, Mr. Marco Sandoval, Ms. Sierra Somerville, Mr. George Spencer, Mr. Alan Edwards, Mr. Kylan Nowell, and finally Mr. Coleman Moore. This journey was far from easy. We had to make a late season shift in classification within WGI for the benefit of our student body and had to change almost our entire approach within percussion. From early Saturday morning rehearsals to late night practices, these students balance the demands of academics, personal responsibilities, and the physical and emotional rigor of competitive competition. They navigated setbacks that would have discouraged most: injuries, equipment failures, and limited access to practice spaces. Yet every challenge became fuel for their determination. They worked through adversity with a level of resilience that speaks volumes about their character. What they accomplished on that championship stage went beyond music. It was a display of teamwork, precision, and passion that brought our entire school community to its feet. They showed the world what is possible when young people are supported, inspired, and empowered to push beyond their limits and really put Everett on a national stage. Please join me in recognizing not only their victory, but their incredible journey they took to earn it. Congratulations to our national champions.
Could we entertain a motion to excuse our guests?
Second the motion.
Make a motion to excuse our guests.
Motion has been made by Mr. Barros, seconded by Ms. Barros to excuse Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Spencer, and Ms. Logan. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. And if it's okay with everyone, I would like to take a brief recess for some pictures.
Sounds great.
Is that okay? Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. The time is 6:58 p.m. Before we resume our regular schedule, I would like to entertain a motion to invite Senator Sal DiDomenico before us to present the Everett Crimson Tide Percussion Ensemble with a citation.
So move.
Second.
So moved. To invite Senator Sal before us. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Superintendent, members of the committee. It is great to be here. I was rushing to get here from the State House to be here for this historic moment. It really is an historic moment for our high school and for our kids to come home with a world championship from Ohio. First time this has happened. I had the good fortune of being there to witness this firsthand, and I can tell you how excited I was to see our kids on a world stage and coming out on top. It is a very competitive competition at WGI. It is very competitive with groups from around the world, around the country, that assemble in this location once a year and compete for the top awards in our nation and in the World Championship. And as you can see, the hardware that's in front of you is pretty amazing. And I wanted to be here to thank them again and congratulate all of them for their hard work, and also the staff, which puts an unbelievable amount of time into making sure that our kids are prepared, not just with music, teaching them life lessons as well. They might not know it, but every lesson you have and every practice we'll fix that. Every practice that you have is teaching you a life lesson in itself. So I'm just really, proud to be, thank you, Joe, proud to be the state senator, but I'm also a band fan, right? You guys see me out there all the time because I love what you do. I love all of you because I've seen you grow over time as young kids, and we have a very young group now too, which was an amazing thing because this was kind of like a rebuilding year, and they came home with a world championship. So that just shows you what's going to happen. No pressure for next year and the year after. No pressure, but it really is something that our kids are world champions, which is pretty amazing. So I have a citation which I'm going to read, but I also want to invite everyone here, the school committee, our superintendent, and of course our world champions and staff and parents, who are the parents. I want to give a shout out to the parents as well. A strong parent group that is always there, travels with the groups, does a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see, but a great support network for our kids as well. But everyone is invited to celebrate your world championship at the State House on May 21st, Wednesday, May 21st. It is during our Senate budget session. So we'll have a full Senate. Everyone from across the state will be in their chairs and celebrating you, the kids of Everett, on that day during our Senate budget. And also we'll have a visit from the governor. So we'll have Governor Healy as well, greeting you and congratulating you. And we all know Governor Healy called you, folks. Remember Governor Healy called you? So Governor Healy called them like when the Red Sox win the World Championships, right? The president calls. Governor Healy called them at the hotel the next morning to congratulate our world champions. So it was pretty special to have our governor calling them and congratulating them on the spot while they were still in Ohio. So that is what I have in store for all of you. I'm very excited to have you all come up there. And I'd love to have the school committee and our superintendent join us at the State House as well, because it will be a big deal for us. I'll go in the rostrum. I'll introduce all of you and tell everyone in the State Senate all the accomplishments that this group brought home to the city of Everett. And I have a citation, and I'm going to give this to Precious and Lucy, two of our seniors. The other seniors had to leave, but these are our two seniors. And I also, Precious didn't want me to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it, Precious. So I'm putting Precious on the spot. I mentioned this at the group dinner when we came home on Monday after the competition. This is like a family. If you see all these kids, while they're playing, they're a machine. They have precision. They're on their game. They are obviously one of the world's best, right? But they're still kids. And I love to see them when they're not playing as well, and how they interact with each other, and how much they love each other. and they just love being around each other. Those are the moments that you're going to remember for the rest of your lives. The time when you're playing, of course, but the moments when you're on the bus together, when you're hanging out after rehearsals, when you're coming together as a group for group lunches and dinners. That is when you see the kids coming together, and that's why this is really a special group. So Precious, after they came off the stage, after their last performance, they didn't know they were going to be world champions. They had no idea at that point. The scores went out. And Precious, I went up to her, and we were talking, and she had tears in her eyes, and she was saying, I wish I could play with them just one more time. And that says it all. That says it all. At that last moment, she realized this was the last moment they were going to be together playing as a group. And that tells you a little bit about what this group's all about. So just through Precious's eyes, you can see how special they feel about each other. Now I'm going to get emotional myself just saying that. So I have a citation for you, and you can put this in your trophy case, which I don't know if it's going to fit with all the stuff you have now, which is pretty. Mr. Superintendent, you're going to have to build a new trophy case for the music program, because this is going to be double up what's in there right now. But I have a citation. It's to be it known that the State Senate extends its congratulations to the Everett High School Scholastic Concert Ensemble. In recognition of you winning the WGI World Championship Concert A competition in Ohio, and acknowledging your hard work, commitment, and dedication to each other and to the city of Everett. And you make us all very proud. Signed by myself and our Senate President, Karen Spilka. Congratulations to all of you. Well-deserved recognition, not just bringing home trophies, but well-deserved recognition for being who you are as kids as well, and students at the high school. Congratulations.
Thank you, Senator Sal, for that presentation. Is there a motion to excuse our guest?
Make a motion to expend.
Second.
Make a motion to excuse our guests.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to excuse our guests. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, and thank you very much again for coming and all that you do for us. Returning to the regular order of business, Mr. Superintendent, what's up next?
Roman numeral 5, report of the student representative, Kelly St. Fort.
Ms. St. Fort, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Keverian will be holding a play here at the Everett High School where student ambassadors will be helping out. This past weekend, Trévon Carrington, a senior at Everett High School, was awarded a prestigious award from the MAVA. Out of 55,000 other students who applied, 55 were only selected. Senior prom is this Thursday at Davenport Yacht Club. The Student Council would like to publicly thank Mr. Hart for his donation to the class of 2025. We are grateful for your support. Thank you very much. I'm also suffering from a cold. I'm so sorry. The culinary held the city's first Veterans Luncheon at the Crimson Cafe this past weekend, and there will be a job fair held this Saturday at the EHS Cafe from 9 to 11 a.m. 3 EHS students were honored by the Immigration Learning Center. Congratulations to Natalia, Sashi, and Samira. This past weekend, the EHS STEM Club traveled to the 1080 International Competition, arriving on Friday, April 25th. We spent the day preparing presentations, finalizing documentation, and participating in opening ceremonies, completing inspections, and setting up for the competition. The AV team kicked things off strongly, earning perfect scores in all 3 of their challenges. On Saturday, we arrived at the venue at 7:30 a.m. and competed in 2 road course races, several drag races, an endurance race, and a collaborative race, and completed the remaining 2 AV challenges. Both teams also presented their project pitches, which is where they advertise their teams and their themes and what we're about. The racing team placed in the middle of the pack, earning our best drag finished in the past 3 years. I'd like to shout out Berlin's Bob Run for working on that solo, and he did a very good job. MVP The AV team placed first in their event and second overall in graphic design. Since only first and second places were announced, we're currently waiting for the final scores for everything else. Overall, this year marked a significant improvement as we continue rebuilding the program post-COVID. With the outstanding sophomores who joined the trip, the future of the team looks very promising. It was an incredible experience where we gained valuable lessons in teamwork, time management, collaboration, and performing under pressure. In my pitch, one of my lines was that the Crimson Bites was more than just a robotics team. We are a movement of young engineers, creators, and innovators. And just like they had presented here, honestly, the next generation is awesome. They are the future, and I feel very comfortable leaving it up to them and leaving my legacy up to them. So I wanted to really thank the sophomores who had joined as freshmen, who taught themselves everything they know and continue to excel. It's amazing, it's very empowering, and it motivates me very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. St. Fort, and congratulations to you and your teammates. That sounds like a very successful weekend.
Thank you.
And thank you also for a very detailed report. I learned a lot. Make a motion to accept the report and place on file.
Second.
Thank you again.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the student representative's report and place on file. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion has passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Roman numeral 6, report of the superintendent. Item number 1, the superintendent's update. And fortunate we have a well-spoken and articulate member of our school committee in Kelly St. Fort. She took a lot of the thunder away from all the different awards that our school students received. She was part of the STEM club that went away this weekend, and they really did wonderful things for us. They work well together, just like our band and percussion, and these young people have a lot to be proud of, and I've told people over and over again, we have a lot to be proud of in Everett, and it's all because of these young men and women that do us proud every single day, not only in coming to school and doing the right thing in the school, in the classroom, but their volunteerism, their commitment to their studies, their commitment to the extracurricular, and of course then they end up excelling on the stage of the world. And I want to thank the STEM Club for their wonderful representation of Everett this past weekend. And thank you to you as well, Kelly, for your leadership at the STEM Club and, of course, with our students here at Everett High School. Yesterday, or last evening, the City Council in Everett voted by a 10-0 vote that they voted favorably to appropriate $500,000 from the Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund for design services and related ancillary costs associated with the reuse of the old Everett High School. This is a small but meaningful step in our hopes to convert a large part of the old Everett High School into a viable 7th and 8th grade school building for our to alleviate our overcrowded conditions, as we all know exist here in Everett. During the discussion last evening, a couple of the members of the City Council referenced an email with an attached video that I had sent to each of them Friday, basically imploring them to help take that next step in getting us closer to what we know is a solution to our problem. It's still miles away, but it is a first positive step. I want to publicly thank the City Council for this step and their overwhelming support of the money appropriation. I will make note that the councilors referenced a video that I had sent, and we have had it playing prior to the start of this meeting and at intermissions and at the end of this meeting. It's a clip of the various locations across our district that really speaks volume. You know the old adage of pictures with 1,000 words. Well, we sent them 10,000 words. We showed them without student faces. We showed them actual conditions during the class days across the district, and you can talk up a storm. The picture was worth it. I've had a lot of great feedback from it. I'll send it to each of you separately this evening. I did share it with the chair before I sent it out so that I had her conditional approval on the move, and I think you'll all see what you've all seen personally, but now you'll see what sometimes can motivate people. So again, thank you to the City Council. Thank you to all of you who continue to support my efforts in finding the best possible avenue to get us what we need to support our students across the district, not just in the 7th and 8th grade. You mentioned Trévon Carrington. He also was on the video as our evening started. Trévon is a wonderful example of who our students are and who they will be as they go on from Everett High School upon graduation. He received a very generous scholarship and was recognized at the Massachusetts State House this a week and a half ago, and we really do want to call him out. He was also recognized, as Ms. St. Fort said, by MAVA, which is the Massachusetts Vocational Association. They're a great organization. They look at folks and students across all the districts in Massachusetts, and to select Trévon is another example of Everett shines wherever it goes. So thank you and congratulations to Trévon for being yet another fine example out in our stage of Massachusetts. Just as a side note, one of our Crimson Tide football players from 2021 was part of the draft pick. He graduated from here, as I said, in 2021. He was a third-round pick this past weekend by the NFL for the Los Angeles Rams. So his name is Josiah Stewart, an Everett guy who is making it, again, outside of the confines of Everett. We did host the first Veterans Luncheon here at Everett Crimson Cafe on April the 16th. The city veterans officer hosted, I think there was about, I would say, 25 veterans for the first luncheon, just to bring folks together, enjoy a meal, and learn some things about, in this case, they learned about our programs here at Everett High School. The culinary served a wonderful luncheon to them, and a lot of stories were shared and a lot of good faith and good feeling amongst and between attendees, both not only the veterans but our students who got to interact with these fine people who come from Everett and served in various wars. We had an initiative at the Whittier School, not unlike other schools, but most recently at the Whittier, collecting bags of clothes to donate to an organization called Cradles to Crayons. I'm sure many of you have heard of that. Our assistant principal, Dr. Brendan Kent, spearheaded that effort at the school, and they had a significant contribution to donate from Everett to Cradles to Crayons. We also had a fun event at Everett High School, and we had several students participate in the 4th annual Whitson's Food Service Culinary Competition. Students prepare meals, maybe their favorite, usually around a very specific number of ingredients, and then judges, some of our staff served as judges, and they select a winner or winners amongst the group of the most delectable delights. And so chicken cacciatore was one of our folks' actual winner for that afternoon, and then that will be served in the cafeteria at the high school, showcasing the talents of our young culinary students. We've had an art exhibit too on April the 10th. What tremendous talent, as I say, about our students, not just performing students, not academic only. We also look at around the room this evening, and behind me we have a number of pieces of art that our students have put together and presented in art shows. And it's not just painting, it's drawing, it's sculpting. Again, talented young people from across the grades. And we've, as I said, featured some here this evening, and we will focus some attention on them in this building. And when we had a Vine Street building that was usable, I always had all of the artwork in my office and the public spaces so that people who came could see the fine work that our students did throughout the year. Just as a reminder, we have an off week. This is Tuesday. We normally meet on Monday, but because of the school committee would compete with the city council, they held a meeting last night. Ours was this evening. Next meeting is next Monday night, May the 5th, at the usual time. So I just want to call everyone's attention to that. And Madam Chair and members of the committee, that's my very quick report on a warm evening here in Everett High School.
Thank you, Superintendent. Any questions? Ms. Babcock.
Not so much a question, but a comment. I came to Community Art Night, and it was incredible because you saw families and kids from starting in kindergarten all the way up to high school. I got to see the dance performances. I know our dance program is fairly new.
Yes.
It has grown exponentially, and I got to see a little highlight of some of the theater that's going to be coming up. It's very promising, and I really enjoyed myself. The art, you just see some of it, but behind each of these screens are more pieces, and they were throughout the entire school, and the art director put together a treasure hunt to try to find certain things throughout it. And there were, when I promise you, there were like 100 kids and parents doing artwork in the cafeteria too. So I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was really well organized, and our students are just so talented and multifaceted. I mean, we're talking about art and food and robotics and music and athletics. We are really, it's just just a wonderful, positive report of how our students are just incredible.
Thank you, and thank you for participating, Member Babcock. The folks out there probably need to come and witness some of this, and I invite folks in that when we have events like this that are open to the public, so you can see what we see and witness the energy and the excitement of our students and staff, quite frankly, that appreciate the work of our young people. So thank you for your participation too.
Thank you, Superintendent. I'd just like to say from the chair, I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure my colleagues would agree that we would be more than happy to judge a culinary competition anytime they're willing to have us. Chicken cacciatore is my favorite. Seeing no further questions, is there Mr. D'Onofrio, go ahead.
Let's not forget Jake Wilcox, quarterback from 2017. He just got invited to the New England Patriots rookie camp. So we hope to see him land the quarterback 4 spot, I guess.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Make a motion to accept the report of the superintendent.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Babcock, seconded by Ms. Cornelio, to accept the report of the superintendent and place on file. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion has passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Item number 2, matter of the school department's fiscal year 2026 operating budget in the amount of $136,940,205 plus $5,214,215 for special education transportation, with city chargebacks in the amount of $35,771,530. As you know, we've gone through the process, public hearing, and I've requested your favorable action on this item this evening.
I move for favorable action and to accept the amount of $136,940,205 plus $5,214,215 for special education transportation and city chargebacks in the amount of $35,771,530.
Second.
And also to refer to the City Hall, the administration, the mayor.
Motion has been made and seconded to for favorable action and to refer the matter of the school department's fiscal year 2026 operating budget in the amount of $136,940,205 plus $5,214,215 for special education transportation and city chargebacks in the amount of $35,771,530. Roll call.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Barros.
On the motion, just want to remind again members of the public that it was a good discussion that we had on this budget. Of course, we wish we had more and we could fund more things, but this is what we have. There is a possibility that this budget could go up a little bit. The House of Representatives added a little bit more than the governor proposed for K-12 education. The Senate will be presenting its budget recommendation in the next, I believe, in 2 or 3 weeks, which there will be a different number. So after they will all get together, hopefully they don't take that long, as they usually do, and they produce a final recommendation to the governor to sign and perhaps give us a few more 100,000, the superintendent would be delighted with that.
I would love it.
Yeah. But just want to make sure that members of the public know that perhaps afterwards, why the school is doing that and that and that, well, we end up with a little bit more than what we originally approved.
Good point.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barros. Ms. Babcock.
I'll speak as well, and just also to remind them that there were some concerns about federal budgeting that was discussed, and a plan is in place for that, and that's also to be reminded as well.
Thank you very much. Motion has been made and seconded to accept and refer. Roll call.
Mr. Almeida Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Babcock.
Yes.
Ms. Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Cornelio.
Yes.
Ms. Cristiano.
Yes.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Ms. Guerin.
Yes.
Mr. LaMonica.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So moved, 9-0.
So moved, 9-0. The motion has passed. Could we entertain a motion for reconsideration, which means a no vote ends the discussion and refers this out to the City Council? Yes means keep this here and for further discussion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Cristiano, seconded by Ms. Babcock for reconsideration regarding Roman numeral 6, item number 2, the matter of the school department's fiscal year 2026 operating budget. Roll call.
Mr. Almeida Barros.
No.
Ms. Babcock.
No.
Ms. Barros.
No.
Ms. Cornelio.
No.
Ms. Cristiano.
No.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
No.
Ms. Guerin.
No.
Mr. LaMonica.
No.
Madam Chair.
No.
Motion is defeated, 9-0.
Motion is defeated, 9-0. This item will no longer be up for reconsideration. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Item number 3, request approval to award a food service management company contract for fiscal year 2026. After a deliberation and a process that's really very prescribed by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, a committee was formed which included a school committee member, Ms. Cornelio, a member of our principal staff, which was Principal Lynch in this case, Trévon Carrington, the young man that we heard a lot about, who's a culinary major and a cook, soon to be cook in his own right, chef I should say, was also on that committee along with supporting staff that reviewed 3 proposals. Each of the proposals were ranked based on a rubric that's, again, very prescribed process. All the procurement guidelines were followed, and a scoring would select those companies that made all the qualifications, some of which we put in too. For example, just a quick note, we have a registered dietitian with the current company. That wasn't or isn't always necessarily the case. We've learned that having a registered dietitian is essential to be sure that all the things that we all find important in a young person's dietary offerings is met. And so the dietitian has proven more than helpful to us planning out meals, responding to student surveys, providing the children and the families what we believe is healthy and nutritious. Once that process was concluded, there was one company that kind of stood out the most, and that is the current company. They provide us also part of this process is kind of what we get back as a district. So it's not all the things that we look for, that we hope for, and that DESE tells us to find. And besides the things we added, there's also a component is what does come back to the district. We stand to receive back into the district, upwards of, well, I'm going to say approximately $1.7 million back to the district in operating once they operate in this contract. So I'm asking for your approval for the Whitson's Culinary Group to become our food service vendor for the upcoming years. We do need your vote, favorable action this evening, so that we can send this off to where we need to from the district.
Make a motion for favorable action to accept Whitson as the food service management company contract for the fiscal year 2026.
Ms. Babcock.
I just want to say that I got a chance to meet the dietitian on a number of occasions, and she is extremely knowledgeable. Yes. And I have seen the updates from Whitson's that the superintendent has shared with us. about the kind of food service they're doing, some ideas on how to improve hot food for breakfast for the middle schools. What I have enjoyed with Whitson's is, and the superintendent has shared with us, is that they are always willing to listen. Their website, they post what meals will be available. If something's not working, they're willing to listen and to adjust. I know that no food service is ever going to be ideal. Working in a school where you have the same kind of similar food options, or when you talk about kids going to college and it's the same food, they do their very best to provide some variety and some stability in typical items. I also like the fact that they work with our culinary students to give them the opportunity to do things like create chicken cacciatore and to serve it in our own cafeteria. So I definitely would move to favorable action on this. I would second Ms. Cornelio. I think the fact that they have a dietitian thinking about what our needs are for our students across our community is extremely important.
Thank you, Ms. Babcock. Mr. Barros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no problem with this, but my question is, so when we approve this, what is the next step?
They're awarded a contract based on the criteria that's been met. They agree to the terms of the contract, and then we get a signature. I sign it, the city signs it, and then they continue on. So there's also another key to this, and not that it should be the only deciding factor. There's no disruption, because when you have a new food service vendor, they're learning a whole new routine, sometimes a new vendor. So there can be a disruption. They may not be the same quality. We know their quality. They certainly have worked remarkably well with us. This is the first year of a contract. We have the right to renew them annually, up to 3 years, as you know. So again, this will give them the right to move forward. They also provide sometimes bag lunches and others for our summer program, so we want to get them ordering food. So we would like them to know that they've been awarded so that they can place their orders for food and so forth for our summer programs as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I was here when this food contractor was chosen, and the one that was in place before for decades ended up losing the bid. It was quite of an interesting meeting that the school committee had during that time. So I do appreciate the work that this company does. What I'd like to see is a copy of the contract, if it could be sent to the committee. Even though I'm fully in favor of this, I just don't want to approve something that I have no clue how much it's going to cost to us.
Nothing.
So
it doesn't cost us anything. Don't forget, all the food itself and the lunches are reimbursed to the state and to the city. So it costs us zero.
Yeah.
It's just what we get back from them, the quality of their service and food. It is in many ways a win-win for us when we have a good company that does the kind of quality food that works well with the district, that allows us, to Ms. Babcock's point, to have our students interact with them. So it doesn't cost us anything, but I'm happy to share the contract.
No, I agree, and I'm fine with that, and I'm voting in favor of this, and I approve the recommendation.
Thank you.
What I would like to see is the contract perhaps the extension of it, because the last time that I saw, that's when I voted on this, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It was a long time ago, because it was actually a totally different body. Some members perhaps are here, or others were not. So I'd like to see that again. Sure. I'm not conditioning my vote on that, but yep. I certainly want to make sure that I'm voting for something that I have on file, especially when it comes to vendors. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barros. Ms. Babcock.
Through you to Mr. Barros. Mr. Barros, could you confirm when we went to universal free lunches for the state? Do you remember when that happened?
I believe it was 2 years ago, but I'm not 100% sure. Either 2 years ago or a year ago. But Everett was doing this way before. This was like when it came for the state, but Everett was way ahead of the game. We were already doing this, including free lunches. for our students. When the state made a big deal that now everyone's going to have free lunch, I was like, well, go to Everett. We already have there. But for the state, I believe it was about 2 years ago or a year ago. But Everett was already doing that.
Thank you for that reminder, because I was trying to think of when we signed the contract, if there was a cost to us at that time, or if we were already providing free meals to our students.
I think you were already providing it.
I
think
so.
At that time.
Well, of course, there is a cost to us because we were. So there was no cost for our students. But as the superintendent explained, what that company brings back, in fact, I don't remember which school, but the renovation of some, I believe it was the Parlin, if I'm not mistaken, was made with that money.
That's right. We can only use it to reinvest in other kitchens around. So if we had to upgrade something, that money is used. So again, the renovation of a kitchen, to your point, Member Barros, it wouldn't cost us because it could come out of that fund. It's an eligible expense.
Yeah. Besides the food itself, that was a huge improvement when we brought them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Babcock and Mr. Barros. The motion was made by Ms. Cornelio, seconded by Ms. Babcock to approve and award the food service management company of Whitson's Culinary with the contract for fiscal year 2026. Roll call.
Mr. Almeida Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Babcock.
Yes.
Ms. Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Cornelio.
Yes.
Ms. Cristiano.
Yes.
Mr. D'Onofrio. Yes. Ms. Guerin.
Yes.
Mr. LaMonica.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So moved, 9-0.
So moved, 9-0, motion passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Item number 4 is an acceptance of a donation of 2 Market Basket gift cards from an anonymous donor at the Parlin School, and it was made known to us by the principal, but we want to accept the gifts cards to be given to 2 needy families for food. So I'm bringing that before you, where I was made aware of it. So I'm asking for you to accept the 2 Market Basket gift cards in the amount of $50 each.
Move to favorable action to accept the donation.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Babcock, seconded by Ms. Barros, to accept the donation of 2 $50 Market Basket gift cards from an anonymous donor to the Parlin School. Roll call.
Mr. Almeida Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Babcock.
Yes.
Ms. Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Cornelio.
Yes.
Ms. Cristiano.
Yes.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Ms. Guerin.
Yes.
Mr. LaMonica.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So moved, 9-0.
So moved, 9-0. The motion passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Roman numeral 7, items submitted by school committee members. As you know, we took item 2 out of order. So item 1 is request to discuss plans for student counseling services following the discontinuation of Elliott Resource Center, including how year-round support will be maintained and what alternative resources will be provided, offered by Ms. Babcock and Mr. Barros.
Ms. Babcock and Mr. Barros?
Yes, I added this to the agenda because, well, May is Mental Health Month, and I do know that when I first moved to the city of Everett, each school had adjustment counselors, and at that time, I want to say it was 2013, those adjustment counselors were released, and I believe that Elliott Services were contracted to provide mental health counseling to our students. It was disruptive. Offering counseling services and continuation of service is extremely important to the students and the families that they support. So I had a constituent reach out to me and say that they were concerned about the continuation of service. So I am sure that the superintendent will fill us in how we're going to support these students, because the contract, I believe, is ending at the end of the school year.
Yes.
So there'll be, for example, for people who are already working with a particular counselor, how will they be able to continue? Will they be given someone else, et cetera? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Babcock. Mr. Barros?
I reserve. I think Ms. Babcock summarized well. I believe Mr. Wallace is here.
Dr. Wallace is here.
Dr. Wallace is here. If he'd like to come before us, it's up to the superintendent. If the superintendent would like to answer the questions, but I'd love to hear exactly what it was listed here, and then I have a few questions and perhaps concerns or not if my questions were addressed. So I'll make a motion to bring before us, if the superintendent's okay with it, Dr. Wallace, and is there anybody else with
yes,
him?
Amanda Benitez is our clinical supervisor of our social workers who comes to us from another district and has led the charge with Dr. Wallace on providing social emotional learning and supports across the district this past year.
Second.
I asked them both to be here in case there were additional technical questions that I could not answer.
A motion has been made and seconded to invite Dr. Wallace and Ms. Benitez before us. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome, Dr. Wallace and Ms. Benitez.
So let me just generally address the item, and then obviously I've asked these two fine people to be here in case that I am not articulate enough to bring home the issues. I too am concerned about the social and emotional well-being of our children, and I think, as you may remember, a year ago when we developed this budget that we're operating under, I brought before you a request to fill social worker positions. Social workers are trained differently than a school counselor. They're considered clinicians. They have a training that I think that obviously it's been proven that they are an asset to school districts. We did not have them, and I thank Ms. Babcock for mentioning that there was adjustment counselors years ago, not necessarily trained as clinicians, but provided a similar service. We made a conscious effort over last summer to recruit some of the better candidates that we could attract to the district, and we assigned them across the district in schools and had them work with school counselors, also known as guidance counselors, under the direction of Dr. Wallace and Ms. Benitez, to ensure that our students were getting, I'm going to use these terms, and I'm not a clinician, and please correct me, they triage our students. So under the current model, students are often referred from a guidance counselor, sometimes the principal or whatever, to a service. The service that we have available for a fee, and I say a fee because insurance covers those, is to the Elliott Resource Center's clinical arm. Those clinicians are on site. Students are seen as a referral, not during triage, and they see a Elliott clinician over the course of the year in the school. Elliott charges the insurance company of those young people for their visit. The school district was paying for that service additionally and providing them space in our schools. The model that we've shifted to, and there's research behind it, and again I'll defer to the experts, that the model that we're doing is kind of a continual care. It's triage. You're seeing our person as needed, when needed, and most often our clinicians are available without an appointment, because that's the advantage of them working for us. It's, I hate to say on the spot, but as needed, when needed. And the fact that we have a couple of clinicians in each building is also a good thing. So there's really, quote, no wait time, if you will. The services that we provide additionally to this that would not necessarily be covered by Elliott will be covered by an array of mental health providers that not only are available by telephone for a parent or a student, but there are other more targeted providers that can give our students service as well. So if a student, and please here again I'm going to defer to them, if a student's family wants to stay with, quote, Elliott or that clinician, and again, and there's no disparity here, it's just the what I believe is a sound operating practice, fiscally as well as for the best interest of our children. Those parents can choose to stick with Elliott. The only difference would be they wouldn't necessarily be seeing him. They won't be necessarily seeing him in our buildings. They'd have to go to an Elliott center for that service because their insurance would cover them to outpatient, if you will, or a clinic. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get that same clinician. I will say, and for our own folks here, a couple of Elliott clinicians working for us now because they like the model. They believe in that model, that service delivery. So again, it was really to be responsible to what we believe were the needs, backed up by some clinical studies, best practices, and again, we were fortunate enough to recruit and retain a number of highly qualified individuals that are considered social workers with a clinical background and a clinical training. So I'm trying to quickly do that so you get a general gist of it. Again, I don't do these things lightly because it is a shift, but I believe it's a shift that's going to be the best benefit for our kids. And a little over 200 families, I'm going to say 240, maybe 230 families, use the Elliott service. And we have a plan, a transition plan for them. We've heard from several of the parents. As you know, Dr. Wallace and I and Amanda have sent out information to parents that would be affected by the change, as well as hosted an information session. I think there's another one coming up. So that every parent has an opportunity to ask those kind of difficult, specific questions about their child, because every child's therapy, every child's next step isn't necessarily mirrored to the next. So we're very deliberate and intentional about these next steps. It's a sensitive topic, and I don't think any of us take it lightly, and I know you don't either. And I appreciate this question because, again, we want to go at this very carefully and with empathy for the parent who now may have to choose to stay with us. I think it's to their benefit in more ways than one. We'll still be providing the service in our schools. We will still have more resources available to them beyond the school placement. And then there are employees that have to be available as and when needed. And I think that's key. I'm going to stop there.
I did have one question.
Oh.
There's a few questions.
Oh, sure.
Ms. Christiana?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Mr. Hart. Mr. Hart, everybody thinks that everybody has insurance. And believe it or not, I can imagine that when somebody's new to this country or, moved in and they don't have health insurance for their child. So you mentioned that Elliott services them and then bills the insurance provider. What happens to that student if they don't have the health insurance?
We, the school district, provides the service. Now we can do it with our own folks. And it's not that some people don't have insurance. They don't have insurance for mental health coverage.
Right.
And that's important to note. So we provide the service. And quite frankly, if it is determined that and again, I'm looking to Amanda, who I know deals with these one-off cases, we'll find the right placement for them, and there's no cost to that. Am I wrong, Amanda? So
before we had this, though, this new arrangement, what would happen to that student?
Well, we didn't have clinicians that work for us, and so our guidance staff, now called school counselors, would do the best they can, and I know the commitment by many of our counselors is to find them a placement or some kind of help outside of the school building that would cover that need without the need to pay a copay or insurance coverage.
But my question is, would Elliott provide the service?
I think they would, yeah.
Okay.
I think they would.
And how much?
They've been a very nice partner.
I know.
It's no reflection
Everybody's
on them.
always
yeah, no, it's no reflection
says the world,
on them.
and I know they've
We've had a great relationship with them.
Great support, great relationship. But just from a fiscal point of view, I know that they were in our buildings and they were billing the insurance companies, which they have every right to do, but Were we paying them also?
Yes, their contract annually was north of $765,000.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hart.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Cristiano. Any further questions for the superintendent before we turn it over to Dr. Wallace? Ms. Babcock, then Ms. Barros.
Okay, so that was extremely enlightening. I do have a couple of questions, and I wanted to speak on the concept of being underinsured. Like Ms. Cristiano had said, a lot of times when people are underinsured, they do not have access to mental health care. And then they're limited to the providers that they can go to. So that was actually part of my concern when I looked at this line item, because I thought to myself, a lot of these kids won't have access to this anymore. But listening to what you're saying, not only they will actually have increased access.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we have a list of 7 other providers beyond us that could provide additional service, and many, if not all of these, are no cost to the student or their families.
Okay, I have 2 questions. So you mentioned you had said that they could, the licensed social workers could actually provide other resources as well, and maybe you can talk about that. And then the other question is, and I remember from the budget hearing that you had mentioned hiring the social workers. So it's nice. It looks like it was a long-term plan with that.
Yes.
So how many social workers were hired? How many are in each school? And because I don't remember offhand from the budget, and what kind of additional resources?
So we had a couple of social workers already on staff here at Everett High School, as a matter of fact. So there are a total of 21 social workers that work for the Everett Public Schools across all of the schools, and even the pre-K program, because we recognize that, or able to recognize as some mental health needs of our even most youngest students. And so there's 21, and they're deployed and observed and evaluated and supported by Ms. Benitez, who has had a long history in school-based clinical care of students. So we're able to hone in on the opportunities that our people already have when they come to us, and then those that we need to support. Ms. Benitez does that. And the resources, again, are back to the individual need of the child. So not every child would be referred necessarily to the same outplacement if we thought that was essential. Sometimes it's a parent needing a conversation that's more advanced. Sometimes there may be therapies that none of us, not including Elliott, wouldn't be able to provide a child. We would still be responsible. We follow that case. It's our case. It's our child. It's our student. We talk to the parents. That parent can come in and talk to that staff person at any school upon request. So I think it's the availability to the parent so that they understand the service that we provide. It's the opportunity to provide enhanced service beyond just one provider, which has been Elliott, and it gives us greater flexibility in addressing situations as they arise, as opposed to by appointment only. And that's critical, because being housed here at Everett High School, for example, for the past couple of months since Vine Street flooded, the clinicians here seeing young people, sometimes in crisis, at that moment. There's no appointment. They're here. They get seen, talked to. There's immediate results in terms of response. I should say response. That's critical in those moments when a child is suffering a moment or two.
Yes, this sort of goes back to what I said at the beginning about the adjustment counselors. They were always present at the schools. And when a circumstance came up that needed attention immediately, they were available. And I was, at that time that they were released, I was very upset about the thought that there wouldn't be somebody that was capable at all times. So this actually seems like a very positive shift.
Thank you, Ms. Babcock. Ms. Barros?
I have more of just a statement more than a question. I actually agree with Ms. Babcock, too, about this model being similar to the adjustment counselors. just in the past with like dealing with them, I think having them consistently present, because not that Elliott wasn't good, but the turnover rate was higher because they were leaving because they weren't hired through the city, they were hired through them. So some of the kids would form a relationship, and then like a month or two later, they'd have to start that all over again.
Yes.
So I'm glad we're headed back into that direction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barros. Mr. Barros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To our guests, how are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So let's talk a little bit about numbers so I can understand this better. Just throwing numbers. Let's say that we had 20 clinicians from Elliott. Now we're replacing with 20 social workers. That's how it's working. My concern here is, or my question is, disruption services. Because we know we have a problem with nurses. This has nothing to do with nurses.
Right.
But are we replacing X for X or X for Y?
Not necessarily. So our contract with Elliott outlined 14 clinicians Elliott employed dispersed throughout all of our schools. Currently, we have 7 Elliott clinicians in our schools. So it's not enough to support the needs of our kids. When we partnered with Elliott years ago, it seemed adequate, and now post-pandemic, in the midst of a mental health crisis, it's just not enough. And I'll tell you that our first and foremost priority is being very mindful of disruption, being very mindful of how we transition kids from one clinician to another, because I've always said that a good counselor is worth their weight in gold because of the impact they can have with children. So that's our first and foremost priority. But I also want to state that I'm actually really impressed with the superintendent's explanation, but I think it quite obviously reflects the numerous conversations we've had about the shift to this model. So while Elliott had its place, it wasn't there for comprehensive care coordination. It wasn't there for real triage support, which our kids need. All of you know that the things that the kids bring to us as adults. So this shift makes a lot of sense. Now, I also want to be clear that Elliott is an outpatient provider. That means that even if they're not present in our schools, like the superintendent said, that's still an option for families. It's still an option. And even if there are barriers to in-person, telehealth is an option. But we're not pigeonholed into Elliott. There's Cambridge Health Alliance. We have liaisons such as Care Solace. We've been talking with an organization out of Peabody called Embrace Pathways, North Suffolk Mental Health. So there are still these resources to help support our kids that are really meeting that high level of care. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily say we're really losing anything, because what we're able to provide by onboarding 21 clinicians on top of 31 school counselors is a counseling staff of 52 people.
So there won't be a reduction in service because we do have. What you're telling me is that we do have staff members, social workers, available. That with the replacement of this vendor, there won't be a reduction in service. We're going to continue with the same level in terms of not quality, number of staff members available to the kids.
Yes, and
more.
Just to kind of elaborate on that a bit, if we make a referral to an outpatient provider, it's common for there to be a wait time. And this was one of the concerns that was voiced to me in one of the information sessions I had with parents was, well, what does this mean for wait time? Because it took quite some time for my child to get services. There is no wait time. Services are immediate. The Everett Public Schools employees with the skills and the training to support kids that need it.
Thank you. Will this staff members provide also, I believe there's some home services that we have, right? I believe that for special education, there are kids who are in school that received some of the Elliott clinicians used to go to their homes.
I'm not aware of any mental health services outlined in a student's IEP that is delivered in their home. I'm not aware of that.
So they're all in schools.
Yeah, I can maybe speak to that. So,
Yeah.
A couple of things on that. So, so Elliott is a large company. They provide lots of different service, right? So this is like a very subcontract
Correct.
for them. So it's plausible that people also were receiving home-based services through Elliott that was outside of this contract. So if you've heard that, that's probably accurate.
Got it. Yep.
What I would say, though, is that the state has actually shifted to a new model called like healthcare centers, behavioral healthcare centers. And so Elliott did not win that contract for the city of Everett. CHA won that contract for the city of Everett. And so it's kind of another reason why we look at what's most in line for our students and to be most connected in this community is to have service providers that are embedded in this community, right? And so students are no longer being seen at the Chelsea Street Clinic, right? There's no longer kids there. There used to be kids there through Elliott. They used to have a clinic in Malden where students could receive home-based services, therapeutic mentors, ICCs. Those have all been awarded to CHA. So again, as we look at what's best and most aligned and most coordinated for our students, Elliott is no longer as present in the city as it once was.
Got it. Just for the record, I don't know Elliott. I mean, I know of their organization. I've met clinicians, but I have no clue where they are located, who their owners are. I'm not questioning that, which that's not what you are saying. I just wanted that for the record. I'm not questioning the vendor, why we don't have this vendor anymore. My concern is service for our kids. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I added this to the agenda. Couple more things. The superintendent mentioned that they could still have students could still have services with Elliott or CHA. Are we informing parents about that? Because parents that reach out to me actually didn't know about it. So I'm glad that we are having this discussion now because they were not aware of that. So I think it would be important perhaps adding to a Q&A that even though we do have these services available or we'll have these services available for them now, which we already have, but it's starting June 30th or July 1st, that's going to be delivered only by our schools, in our schools, that if they choose to, they can still go to these other providers because the parents that reached out to me had no clue. The second thing that I would suggest, in addition to that, I believe you had family information sessions at the Lafayette on April 23rd, and then you have one coming up May 1st at the English.
Correct.
I would suggest to do an additional one, perhaps going to 2 more schools. I mean, you know, our parents are everywhere.
We were also talking about Zoom because we didn't want parents to think they had to come in to a building under this climate. And we were looking at a Zoom option too.
Perfect. That would be great. I think you know our parents. They are, dispersed. They have 2-3 jobs. It's hard. Not all of them, but a lot of our parents. So it's hard to get information to them a lot of times. Those parents that I heard from, they're not complaining that Elliott's going to go away. They were concerned about will the same services will be provided, or I think that they're concerned with pretty much the disruption of it. And that's why I added this to the agenda.
That's
one of the parents forwarded me an email from you, Dr. Wallace, but the other who then forwarded to the other ones who had no clue. Who then forwarded to others who had no clue what was the content because it was in English. So as they don't speak English, they're like, what is this? I heard it's about my kids' mental health. They do have assistance. So I'm sure you are looking at translation of this as well. Would be extremely important. So my recommendations would be to add it to your Q&A if you perhaps haven't had it yet. What the superintendent mentioned, the continuation of services that they will have if they choose to go to continue if an outside provider. It doesn't need to be Elliott. But also, I'm glad the superintendent mentioned Zoom, adding additional informational sessions for these parents that are, as I said, hard to get to. And, of course, language accessibility, which I know that the district does a terrific job on it. But make sure that they get it, because those parents who reach out to me, some of them spoke English, and English was their first language, others didn't, and they were confused about it. And I had to go over on the phone and explain. Of course, I refer to our schools, but sometimes they prefer to talk to me.
Right.
Those are my points.
Yeah, no, I want to thank you for that, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. Our efforts for outreach will be unrelenting. I've accessed the Family Resource Center. I've had letters drafted in translation, but I know that until we actually touch base with every family and have this conversation, that there may be some unknown. So our goal is to make sure that our communication is seamless. We have had multiple outreach, but hearing this back from you is incredibly helpful. We base all of our communications on what we have in our database, so naturally that information needs to be updated from time to time. So I just want to tell you that we'll make sure that any of our students that are receiving Elliott services prior to the start of the school year, 2026, will know exactly who they're seeing. Their families will have any of their questions addressed. And they will, like I said, it's our first and foremost priority to minimize the disruption, because the impact of effective counseling, it can't be overstated.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
I wanted to add to that we're actually in collaboration with Elliott to go through each individual student in the clinical meeting so that we can get their recommendation on what would be best for that student, right? Because they're currently servicing that student. So we will take that recommendation to the family and say, this is what the current counselor is saying. Are you in agreement with it? And how do we get you connected to the right level of care based on that recommendation? I just wanted to add, I am a former Elliott clinician and totally have appreciated the work they've done at Everett Public Schools, and we hope to continue that work with our students as well.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you both.
And just one last thing, if any members of this body have a communication from anyone in the community, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'd be happy to reach out to that family and make sure we make that connection.
Right. We want to get to everybody, and if you do hear from people, don't wait for call me, and we'll reach directly out to them. We have parent liaisons that speak other languages. I know there was an attempt to translate. We had identified 230 families who had received Elliott care. I mean, we have been coordinating this, but it does fall through the cracks. They miss the call. They don't look at the letter. But if you learn of anybody during this time, let us know, so that certainly we'll do the phone call back, or we'll make the time. I know that both these folks in front of you and the clinicians at each of the schools are making a very conscious effort to be sure every parent is heard.
Thank you both.
Ms. Babcock.
Through you to our guests and to Mr. Barros, navigating the healthcare system is an incredibly complex process. It is complex for us that have quality insurance and that have knowledge of these processes. For people who do not have knowledge of these processes, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable saying that they're going to have a conversation about what's the right direction for the students that are being seen now, because it takes a lot to get services, and then to suddenly get an email that says those services are ending. It sounds like there are many options for the students if they have the insurance that would allow them to continue that and continue using an Elliott clinician. They can. But if not, then you're going to have conversations with them, and they're going to have a better knowledge of what's going on. When English is not your first language, it is a huge barrier to care. It's a number one problem. I work in the College of Nursing at UMass, and it's something that we talk about all the time. And what Mr. Hart was talking about too, that people feel nervous right now, and that health insurance should be a private, personal matter, and having the fact that they're going to be able to meet with their clinicians and come up with a plan makes me feel a lot more comfortable. I also like the idea that it's immediate, that people can, and what Ms. Barros was saying about there was high turnover for Elliott. Students would get comfortable with a particular counselor and then they would leave and go somewhere else. The fact that they can see the same people and know their faces and come to have someone that they can trust is huge. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. If I may, from the chair, real quick, I did have the opportunity to attend one of your coffee hours for families, and the amount of effort you put into trying to communicate with families directly is great. There were translators, there were vendors there. There was CHA, Elliott, Care Solis, and Portal to Hope, I believe. But I do believe that additional virtual option would be best because not every family has the time to attend an in-person event. Thank you.
Motion to excuse our guests with the customary thanks.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Cristiano, seconded by Ms. Cornelio, to excuse our guests with the customary thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion to return to sponsor.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Babcock, seconded by Ms. Cristiano, to refer Roman numeral 7, item number 1, back to sponsor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion has passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Item number 3, Shore Educational Collaborative Quarterly Update. Chairperson Hurley.
Thank you. If I may, from the chair, this is a DESE requirement. I'm not sure if this has been done before. The executive director of the Shore Collaborative printed up a fun flyer. I can't promise this is going to happen every time, but I do have some updates to share with everybody. The Shore's mission is to educate, enrich, and inspire children and adults with disabilities in supportive and sensory inclusive environments. The Shore services members from 22 different communities, with Chelsea, Revere, Saugus, and Everett having the highest enrollment numbers. The Shore teamed up with City Connects to increase media presence and communications with families. City Connect created helpful lists of programs and materials for families to utilize during school breaks and vacation. It's very important with special education for students to have consistency. They started having coffee hours with families right before breaks, which have been very successful in getting families familiar with what they're doing in the Shore so it can continue at home when the students aren't in the buildings. Paraprofessionals and instructional aides were offered the opportunity to earn their bachelor's degree in special education through Lake Erie College in partnership with Bloom Board. Shore teachers and administrators will support the candidates through the process, meaning all in-class hours will be achieved at the Shore. The Shore also applied for DESE's RTAP program, offering the same opportunities, and they're waiting to hear back from that. I believe there were 10 open positions for the Bloom Board pilot, and 10 paras applied. The Shore has teamed up with Citizen Schools to bring project-based learning to the classroom, and students showcase their projects before February school vacation. Projects included treat kits for animal shelters, snack kits for food pantries, robotics, LGBTQ support, and student mental health. Adult Service CBDS individuals received the Citizens in Volunteer of the Year award for their dedication and committed work to the Haven for Hunger food bank located in Peabody. They're from our Peabody Adult Service area, and they like to give back to the community that they work in. Student Services participated in their first ever winter concert. Students performed vocal and instrument numbers. Families were able to tune into a closed video feed to watch the beautiful show. Board members got to see a few clips from the showcase, which was tailored to everyone's comfort level and truly an inclusive experience. This year, the Shore embraced collaboration between adult and student services. An adult member from the Explorers A program organized and facilitated crafts, as well as planned a dance party and coordinated all the music that was played for some of the younger students. This is the best of both worlds coming together and supporting one another. The Henry Owen School in Chelsea is for students from preschool to the age of 22. This program is staffed by teachers, paraprofessionals, occupational speech and physical therapists, adjustment counselors, behavior analysts, and nurses. There are currently 215 students enrolled. This is the highest enrollment number ever recorded in the Shore's history. Everett currently has 15 members benefiting from Shore Collaborative Services. The Shore's Adult Service Division services adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities through day programs located in Chelsea, Peabody, and Woburn. All of the Shore's adult day programs offer habilitation primarily funded through Mass Health, CBDS, which is Community-Based Disabilities, and DDS, Department of Developmental Disabilities. There are currently 348 individuals enrolled between the three locations. Shore also supports local school districts through consultations, professional development, and operational support, which includes transition services, public relations, home training, communication services, program review, and student evaluations. The Shore is presenting their FY26 budget during our upcoming May board meeting, which, once approved, will be shared with districts to be the executive director. And that is my report from the Shore.
Make a motion to accept the report and place on file.
Second.
Ms. Guerin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for that presentation. So the Shore Collaborative, if there is like a parent who finds out about this program, would the student be like referred through the schools, or would the parents contact the organization themselves?
I can answer that. So our students will be referred from the district into the Shore. We want to keep our students within district as long as we can provide the proper care and education they need. If we can't, they are referred to the Shore. Yes.
Okay. So just to be clear, is the Shore more of like an alternative schooling, or do they offer programs like outside of school, like, I don't know, summer programs?
It's alternative schooling, yes.
Okay, so it is specifically
regular
an alternative
school day,
school.
yes. So instead of coming to a school within the district, you would go to a Shore for the length of a school day.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. There was a motion was made and seconded to accept
Second.
the report and place on file. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion has passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Roman numeral 8, Subcommittee reports. The first one is Finance and Negotiations Subcommittee from Monday, April the 7th, 2025.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the committee report and place it on file.
Motion has been made by Ms. Cristiano, seconded by Ms. Barros, to accept the Finance and Negotiations Subcommittee report from Monday, April 7th, 2025, and place on file. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion has passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Roman numeral 9, Bills and Payroll.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Cristiano.
I'd like to submit bills and payroll in the amount of $2,627,276.89.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to submit bills and payroll in the amount of $2,627,276.89. Roll call.
Mr. Almeida Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Babcock.
Yes.
Ms. Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Cornelio.
Yes.
Ms. Cristiano.
Yes.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Ms. Guerin.
Yes.
Mr. LaMonica.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So moved, 9-0.
So moved. Motion passed.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
I'd like to pay bills and payroll in the amount of $2,627,276.89.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Cristiano, seconded by Ms. Cornelio, to pay bills and payroll in the amount of $2,627,276.89. Roll call.
Mr. Almeida Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Babcock.
Yes.
Ms. Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Cornelio.
Yes.
Ms. Cristiano.
Yes.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Ms. Garin.
Yes.
Mr. LaMonica.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So moved, 9-0.
So moved. Motion passed. Mr. Superintendent, the next order of business.
Roman numeral 10, unfinished business, there is none. Roman numeral 11, new business, there is none. Roman numeral 12, hearings, there are none. Roman numeral 13, matters for executive session, there are none. Roman numeral 14, adjournment.
Making a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Barros, seconded by Mr. Barros to
Roll
adjourn.
call vote.
Roll call vote on adjourning.
Mr. Almeida Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Babcock.
Yes.
Ms. Barros.
Yes.
Ms. Cornelio.
Yes.
Ms. Cristiano.
Yes.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Ms. Garin.
Yes.
Mr. LaMonica.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we are adjourned.
We have adjourned at 8:19. Good night, everybody. Thank you.